covering everything sports in Green Country. This is Fox 23 Sports This Weekend.
Welcome to the Fox 23 OSU Texas Tech postgame show. I'm Nathan Thompson, live in Lubbock, right in front of Jones AT&T Stadium, where it's much quieter than it was earlier. Martina Del Bonte is back in the Fox 23 studios, and the Cowboys, Martina, celebrating a big win over the Red Raiders.
They sure are, Nathan. It was a big win tonight. This was a game many assumed was going to be a close one. In fact, many people thought Tech was going to win by a point because they had home field advantage, but it ended up being a lot closer than most expected. The fans were asked to dress up today for Halloween, and dress up they did, but unfortunately, OSU ruined the party. Clint Shelf here is going to connect with Union grad Tracy Moore for the 6-yard touchdown. That will put the Cowboys up first. They strike it again here, and Desmond Rowland, man, this guy is awesome. His first of 3 touchdowns. OSU scores 21 points in the first quarter. Now 21-10 in the second. And there is Shelf rolling and finding backup fullback Jeremy Seaton for the 1-yard touchdown. Third quarter now, score 35-24. OSU spread out, and Shelf just decides to take this one himself. Who said this guy can't run? He goes 67 yards on the ground. In fact, he scores 2 rushing touchdowns, and that was the longest rushing touchdown for a quarterback since 1982 for Oklahoma State. Fun fact dropped on you. Final score is 52-34. Shelf, 18 of 34 for 211 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Desmond Rowland had another big game tonight, scoring 3 touchdowns. Now, live in Lubbock is Fox 23's Nathan Thompson. Nathan, I'm sure the game was even crazier on the sidelines.
Definitely was, Martini. You know, Lubbock fans, Red Raider fans are known for being rowdy, and they definitely were tonight. They were hyped up for this game. In the stands, they were actually throwing out tortillas. That's an old thing they used to do that kind of died away, but they were throwing out lots of tortillas in this game from the stands onto the field, but it wasn't enough as OSU gets this win. All-around team effort here, but the story of the game definitely Clint Shelf. He started the season as the starter for OSU, but got benched quickly after 2 series in the opening game. But he came back, started last week, and this was his best game of the season. 211 yards passing, that's a season high. 2 touchdowns, also had 88 yards rushing. We saw that 67-yarder in the highlight. He had 2 touchdowns rushing. Now, the 67-yard TD run, the longest by any OSU player this season. It's Shelf's longest in his career, and as Martina mentioned, longest by any OSU quarterback since at least 1982. That's at least, could be longer. We don't know. The records are tough to find whenever it gets a little bit older than that. So a great performance in him, and a little bit of redemption. You know, as a guy only got 2 starts in the first game of the season when he was the starter to start the year, and he got benched for J.W. Walsh, but Walsh struggled a little bit, and Shelf took over the TCU game, played at Iowa State, and today really put up big numbers and had a great performance for him, even though he did have those 2 interceptions. Martina, I'm going to send it back to you now in the Fox 23 studios.
Yeah, Nathan, I'm here with Austin Chadwick. And talking about Clint Shelf, I mean, this was a guy, as Nathan just said, played a few series against Mississippi State, found himself benched for the next few games, and has come back and is having probably the time of his life right now, would you say?
Yeah, he's doing a wonderful job. Great leadership. I mean, more than anything, he's an Enid kid. He's an Oklahoma kid that we can claim, and really he's done a nice job. A great athlete. You don't realize how good of a player this kid is, but they opened it up, and I loved it. I mean, we talked about how they're going to have to throw the football to win this game. They're going to have to get turnovers. They capitalized 21 points off of turnovers with big plays like this. Clint did a heck of a job, and more than anything, it was good to see him play well. His receivers made plays, the running backs made plays, the whole team effort. I mean, that's going on the road. That's a big win for Oklahoma State in Lubbock.
And Shelf again went 6 carries for 88 yards. I mean, who knew that this guy could run, and 2 touchdowns? Everyone thought J.W. Walsh was the runner on the team. Speaking of the running game, Desmond Rowland. Again, another great day. He had 31 carries for 96 yards and 3 touchdowns. 1 touchdown shy, but 2 game total, 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's doing a heck of a job. And more than anything, when you look at what this guy does, they piled up a lot of yards last week, but this week it was more about getting him touches, and they stuck to the running game. And overall, I mean, between Clint Shelf and some of the other guys that came in, Jeremy Smith had a nice run. They did a nice job, and so they stuck to that running game. Even though he only had about 3.7 yards a carry, he runs hard, and that really opened up the game for Oklahoma State, capitalizing on turnovers. They did everything right.
Yeah, this was something Mike Gundy wanted to make sure he saw Desmond Rowland doing more carries because, I mean, last week he had about 23, 25. He wanted to see how well in shape he is, and it looks like he can handle the load of about 30 carries a game. Now, there was some college football in Green Country today. Locally, the Tulsa Golden Hurricane battled UTSA Roadrunners in a homecoming matchup. Fox 23's Andrew Carter has the game highlights.
Tulsa had a tough loss against Tulane last week, but this week it was home sweet home against UTSA, a homecoming matchup in which earlier in the week Coach Blankenship said the seniors were ready for. It was senior quarterback Cody Green getting off to a rough start. He throws a pick here on the first possession of the game, and it was just a sign of things to come for the Golden Hurricane. UTSA 3 possessions later, they get on the scoreboard. Eric Souza with the 5-yard toss to Evans Okacha and the 7-0 lead. And then there was this. A Roadrunners punt is going to turn into a huge play and an absolute nightmare for senior Trey Watts, who botches the return, and the Roadrunners hustling downfield recover the ball in the end zone for the 14-0 lead. And then the day's just going to get worse for Watts. Very next drive, he is going to fumble the ball. UTSA recovers on the 35-yard line as nothing seems to be going right for the Golden Hurricane, but down 24-0. Dane Evans did come to the game for Cody Green, and he completes this pass to Jordan James in the corner of the end zone, but TU loses big, 34-15. Obviously, it wasn't the result that the Golden Hurricane wanted on the field, mainly due to turnovers. 4 turnovers for the Golden Hurricane, 2 of which came in the first quarter, resulting in 14 easy points for UTSA. Coach Blankenship said the team is defeated, but also they are not going to give up. There is fight, and they are going to keep going, even though right now it is some tough times for the Golden Hurricane. Reporting from Chapman Stadium, Andrew Carter, Fox 23 Sports.
And your final score once again, Tulsa falls to UTSA 34-15. As Andrew showed us, turnovers hurt Tulsa today. They had 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles. Well, let's check out some Big 12 action now. Charlie Weiss in Kansas took on Mac Brown in Texas. The Longhorns are at home in Austin today. No score in the second quarter, and Malcolm Brown takes it in for the 4-yard touchdown. The Longhorns will take the 7-0 lead. Later in the second, it's Brown again. He runs it in from 3 yards out. His second touchdown of the game. Texas up 14-3 at half. Now, into the third quarter here, Kansas' Jake Heaps is going to get sacked and is going to fumble the ball and is going to bounce into Chris Whaley's hands. He'll recover and return it for a 40-yard touchdown. Texas extends the lead 21-6, and it just doesn't get prettier for Kansas. Fourth quarter here, Brown runs up the middle. No one is around him for a 30-yard touchdown. He rushed for 119 yards and 4 touchdowns today. Texas wins big 35-15 and goes 5-0 in the Big 12. Iowa State on the road at Kansas State. Kansas State won 41-7. Kansas State's John Hubert ran for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now quarterbacks Jake Waters and Daniel Sams combined to pass for 221 yards and ran for 89 yards. Now the Wildcats beat the Cyclones for the 6th straight time. Mountaineers in Fort Worth, Texas, taking on TCU. Let's pick things up in the fourth quarter, 17-13 here. Clint Trickett will find Cody Clay for the 11-yard touchdown. West Virginia will go up 20-17. Now, later in the fourth, Trickett is going to hit Sims for the 17-yard touchdown. He's going to curve it in there, and that is going to extend their lead 27-17, though. But 3 minutes left in the game. TCU knocking here, and Porter will find him at the back of the end zone for the touchdown. TCU hanging tough here, down 27-24 after a TCU field goal is going to tie it late, and we head into overtime. TCU's Jaden Obercrom misses a 62-yard field goal. Now it's West Virginia's turn. Josh Lambert is going to hit a 34-yard field goal to win it, 30-27. And in other Big 12 news, 13th ranked Oklahoma and 5th ranked Baylor both had a bye this week. That means they're going to be thinking about each other. They take on each other on Thursday, November 7th at 6:30 p.m. at Floyd Casey Stadium in Waco, Texas. Baylor is undefeated and 7-0, and Oklahoma is 7-1 with a loss against Texas in conference play. Number 11, Auburn on the road at Arkansas. First quarter here, Auburn's Trey Mason is just going to run this one in for the 9-yard touchdown. That'll put them up 7-0. Second quarter now, Auburn leads 7-3. Mason gets his second touchdown of the night. from 4 yards out. Auburn extends that lead 14-3. Now in the second half, Nick Marshall is going to have a long pass to Sammy Coates. His defender's going to fall over, and he's just going to jet down the sideline. That will be an 88-yard touchdown, 28-3 Auburn. They go on to win 35-17. A rivalry matchup of Michigan and Michigan State in the battle for the Paul Bunyan Trophy. Now this game was tied 6-6 late in the first half, and Michigan State's Connor Cook fires this pass to the corner of the end zone to Benny Fowler. That's a 14-yarder, and he's down with the camera guys. 13-6 Michigan State. Now in the fourth quarter, all right, Cook keeps it, and he's going to run it in for the 1-yard touchdown. That guy I like what he sees. Still in the fourth year, Michigan ball. Devin Gardner's pass will be intercepted by Darqueze Dennard. Michigan State again, and Jeremy Langford is going to take it to the outside, cutting back right past that defender for the 40-yard touchdown to Michigan State. They're going to take home the trophy there. 29-6 is your final score. In the ACC, this was a humongous matchup. 7th-ranked Miami on the road against 3rd-ranked Florida State, and Florida State wins 41-14. Next up for Florida State on November 9th is Wake Forest on the road again, and for Miami, they'll take on Virginia Tech at home.
Cowboy fans are still celebrating a big win here in Lubbock. We're going to take you down on the field, on the sideline, for the sights and sounds of the win over the Red Raiders.
Plus, the Oklahoma men's basketball team returns to Lloyd Noble Center for exhibition play this weekend. Oklahoma State with a big win over Texas Tech tonight. Fox 23 sports director Nathan Thompson is live in Lubbock with a look at the sights and sounds of the game.
So, Martina, I'm right in front of the stadium where all the action happened. It's quiet now, but it was rocking earlier this evening, and then it got quiet again when OSU started running away with this one in the 52-34 victory. So, Cowboy fans are happy. I'm sure you were happy to watch it on TV down there, but it's another thing to be on the sideline, on the field. So, we're going to give you the sights and sounds from the sideline of this big win. Lots of good highlights there on the field for the Cowboys. And you know what you couldn't convey there in the video, just how cold it got there. I was down on the sideline shooting it. My hands were shaking a little bit. It's amazing I got any video at all, guys. But it was a great victory for the Cowboys, and I hope everybody enjoyed the sights and sounds from the sideline.
Nathan, I saw your tweet about how cold it was. He's jealous that we get to hang out here in the studio. Once again, I'm with Austin Chadwick. Now, let's talk a little about Texas Tech. Now, they have a little bit of the dropsies and, what is it, clumsy fingers, whatever you want to call it, turnovers. They had 3 turnovers today, 2 interceptions, and a fumble. They were kind of expecting that today. Yeah,
they were. But more than anything, they've turned the ball over quite a bit. And when you look at this Texas Tech team, that's how you got to beat them. I mean, OU did it last weekend, and obviously Oklahoma State did it today. They capitalized off those turnovers, and that's what you have to do. I mean, you have to look at it from an Oklahoma State standpoint. They played right into Oklahoma State's hands because that's how their defense has been playing all season long. They've been opportunistic. They're getting the ball back for their offense, and they have to because we talked about it. They don't have Brandon Weeden back there. They're not putting up 40 points a game. They're winning football games by getting turnovers and turning over short fields, and then also being opportunistic like this. You know, Texas Tech's trying to score, and they come up with a big interception.
Yeah, and those interceptions definitely shut down the Texas Tech offense. But we have to give credit to the OSU defense. I mean, this is a team that Justin Gilbert said earlier in the week that their mentality on the defense has changed, and that's definitely showing against these big games, forcing turnovers. Also, holding Texas Tech to 4-15 on third downs.
Yeah, and that's a huge deal. I mean, when you can get teams off the field on third downs, that's a big deal for Oklahoma State. More than anything, they also wanted to create other opportunities in special teams, and as you see here, blocking a punt, that's a massive deal. But also going back to the mentality of the whole team, I mean, that's their identity. They're playing defense. This is the first time I think they've had a defense this good. You got a bunch of NFL players. Justin Gilbert is going to be a first-round draft pick. He's the best corner, I think, in the country. And they've been bend but don't break. You know, they'll let Texas Tech have a lot of yardage. They'll get down in the red zone, and then they'll stiffen up, and they did it. They held Texas Tech to 10 points in the second half. That was the difference in Oklahoma State. Big win on the road. I mean, that's big.
Yeah, I was actually going to add that because, you know, everyone thought, okay, this is going to be a shootout, and then oh man, they held them to 10 points in the second half. That is absolutely great. Now, Tulsa lost to UTSA earlier today, 34-15 for the team's second consecutive loss. The Golden Hurricanes struggled to make up points all day, as Fox 23's Andrew Carter shows you the team's turnover troubles.
The Golden Hurricane looked for a bounce-back victory in a homecoming matchup at home against UTSA today, but there was one thing that plagued them all day, and it really has been a struggle all year, and that's turnovers. Tulsa got off on the wrong foot with a Cody Green interception in the first quarter, which led to 7 points for UTSA. And when the Hurricane did their best to stop the Roadrunners' offense, a costly botched return from Trey Watts put the Golden Hurricane in a 14-point first quarter hole. TU ended the day with 4 total turnovers, 2 interceptions, and 2 fumbles. Head coach Bill Blankenship preaches ball security with his team, and with them not getting the job done, he had a message for the Tulsa fans.
We just ought to apologize to our homecoming fans and the folks that have been a part of this, because we surely did not represent Tulsa football very well today. Just couldn't get out of our way again. I mean, that's just the turnovers. We made it so easy to get the early ones with the choices we made and the opportunities. And sometimes, you don't choose to fumble the ball or throw interceptions, but those are still decisions that we have to live with.
As big of an issue as turnovers were all day for the Tulsa Golden Hurricanes, scoring points has been tough as well, and Coach Blankenship put in 3 quarterbacks just trying to find any spark he could get. The Hurricane moved to 1-3 in Conference USA play. Reporting from Chapman Stadium, Andrew Carter, Fox 23 Sports.
Exhibition basketball is underway in Norman. OU took on Washburn. Now 5 players scored in double figures for the Sooners as they beat Washburn tonight 104-76. Cameron Clark scored 23 points and 7 rebounds and also went 3 of 5 shooting from three-point land. Buddy Hield added 21 points and 5 boards. Now the 104 points were the program's most in exhibition games since 2005. But Coach Lon Kruger liked the most was seeing more than Cam and Buddy getting involved with the offense.
You'll expect Cam and Buddy to generally be the two that are going to be consistently scoring points for us, but the other next 2 leading scorers might be 5, 6, 7 different guys, and I think that's the real strength of this group. And different guys at different nights can jump up and score 15. So glad to see that.
Still ahead, we're taking a look at OSU's schedule for the remainder of the regular season. Plus, we break down the new Big 12 standings. Also, a look at some other big games this weekend, including Florida, Georgia, and a back-and-forth match between Navy and Notre Dame. Welcome back once again, joined with Austin Chadwick. Now, let's take a look at the Big 12 standings because it's getting a little messy, perhaps, at the top. Here's Texas, out of all teams, at 5-0, followed by Baylor. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State are sitting there at 4-1. What stands out to you the most by looking at these standings?
Well, Texas undefeated. I mean, when Spencer came back as their defensive coordinator and they started playing with a little bit of a purpose, Texas has got a chance to win this conference. But more than anything, Baylor obviously ranked number 5 in the country. We're going to see a Thursday night game against Oklahoma. OSU and OU. Everybody's backloaded. The great thing about this, the standings as it is everybody's going to get a chance to play everybody in the next handful of weeks, and it's going to be a lot of fun in the Big 12 in November.
Take one last quick. Oh, well, we're back, back here. But if you took a look at that Big 12 standings, you'll see OSU's pretty much playing everybody at the top. Now, let's take a look ahead. Now, OSU will be going up against Kansas, and then at Texas, and then versus Baylor, and then against OSU. Now, only one game is away, and that was against Baylor. But as you can see, they're going through the top 4 of the of the Big 12 standings. I mean, how is this going to fare out for them?
Well, this is good for them. I mean, they're going to get a Kansas game at home, so they got a chance to put some things into place and to kind of recuperate a little bit. And Kansas is just not very good, so they should win this game handily. And if they keep making plays like this, they're going to have to do that because they get Baylor at home. That's a huge deal. They got to go on the road to Texas after the Kansas game in a couple of weeks. Then they get Baylor at home. Then they get OU at home. So this plays right perfectly into Oklahoma State's hands. And if they can just get past Texas on the road to Austin, they haven't had very much luck there. But if they can go down there and win, then they hold their destiny in their own hands, and that's when they can get Baylor and OU at home at the end of the season.
Yeah, this is going to be very exciting to find out, and luckily for them, they do have 3 home games left on their schedule for OSU. All right, Missouri looking to bounce back after losing to South Carolina in double overtime last week. To start the game, Mizzou's Maddie Mock dumps it to Dorial Green Beckham, and he takes it in for the 9-yard touchdown. Mizzou up 7-0. He was the #1 wide receiver recruit in the nation 2 years ago. Second quarter, Mizzou up 10-0 Tennessee ball, and Joshua Dobbs' pass gets intercepted by E.J. Gaines. Now later in the second, Mock is going to go deep to the wide. Where is the coverage? Open LaDainian Washington for this 26-yard touchdown. Tigers take a 17-0 lead, and Mizzou goes on to win 31-3. Navy at Notre Dame, and Admiral himself, David Robson, was there. Texting or Instagram. Beginning of the fourth quarter, Notre Dame up 24-20. Navy's Keenan Reynolds rushes for a 4-yard touchdown. That was the 3rd for the day for him. That put Navy up 27-24. Notre Dame ball though. Cam McDaniel rushes to the outside for the 4-yard score. They go up 30-27. Navy then regains the lead on this play. Reynolds with the long pass to Matt Aiken for the 34-yard touchdown. Navy's up 34-30. All right, Notre Dame ball here, and Terrion Foster will get it in for the 1-yard touchdown score to take the last lead. This is like a ping pong game. This game had 8 lead changes, and Notre Dame wins it 38-34.
Go Dogs! Go Gators!
Friendship at its finest. Georgia taking on Florida Everbank, or frenemies, I should say. First quarter here, Todd Gurley takes the handoff and bounces around for a little bit and goes in for the 5-yard score. That puts the Bulldogs up 7-0. Later in the first, Aaron Murray is going to hit Gurley again, goes 73 yards as he bypasses that guy and just, he's all by himself. That's his 2nd score of the game. Georgia goes up 14-0. Third quarter here, Mac Brown runs it in from 5 yards out and dives in. Florida inching closer. 23-10 is your score. Fourth quarter here, Tyler Murphy is going to run and leap over the defender for the touchdown. They will get the 2-point conversion, but that just wouldn't be enough, and Georgia wins 23-20. Get up, young man. You did great.
Heard lots of stuff. We've seen all the highlights from OSU's big win. We've had lots of analysis. One thing we haven't done is heard Mike Gundy's take. That's about to change. Here from the OSU head coach up next.
Welcome back. As you saw right here on Fox 23, OSU beat Texas Tech tonight 52-34. Let's check back in with Fox 23's Nathan Thompson for a final wrap-up live from Lubbock.
Martina, there's just so much for OSU to be happy about after this victory. Cowboys are now 7-1 on the season, 4-1 in the Big 12. So after that early stumble at West Virginia in league play, OSU still controls its destiny. OSU, if it wins out, will win the Big 12 title. So that's good news for them. Lots of good streaks going on here for OSU too. Cowboys have won 5 straight games over Texas Tech. That's the longest winning streak in this series for either team. It's also the first time the Cowboys have scored 50 points in consecutive road games. That's in school history. It's also 3 straight wins in Lubbock for OSU. That's the first team that's done that since Nebraska did it, the Red Raiders, in 94, 96, and 2000. So lots of good stuff to be happy about, and Mike Gundy sounds pretty happy after the game.
I thought it was a really good effort, good win for our team. We got a lot of work ahead of us, but we're starting to get a little bit better. I'm excited about our group. I really like how our guys play. I like their chemistry. It's improved over the last month. And looking forward to getting back to work on Tuesday.
All right, thanks so much for watching us on Fox 23 Sports postgame show. And thanks to our crew in Lubbock and Chapman Stadium. See you again Sunday night at Fox 23 News at 9.